Hey now, today I am going to be making some lychee raspberry kombucha using some kombucha that will be coming out of my primary fermenter into my secondary fermenters here. And in order to do that, I've just got some canned lychee fruit here in syrup, and then a nice little bag of frozen raspberries that we picked. So the first move is, I have these containers star sand. I'm not 100% sure exactly how necessary it is to always sanitize these, but because just from the brewing that I do, I sanitize everything, even though there's a whole ton of bacteria obviously going in here just because of the kombucha itself. But anyway, I'm going to be adding these. My plan is to use approximately half the can total here. This is based on a recipe that a buddy of mine made and said that it was absolutely amazing and that I needed to try it out. So here we are doing it. And for 4 liters, he did 8 liters with a full can. So I'm just going to do obviously half of that with the lychee here. So maybe 1 more each. And then, you know what? I think I'm going to pour in just a little bit of this syrup because why not? Just a little bit more sugar addition. So as you can see, I've used half the can, and now I'm going to be adding some of these frozen raspberries. Oh, actually, before I do that, I'm going to just mash these up a little bit here. I'm just going to use an immersion blender just to bust them a little bit. If you don't have one of these, you could obviously just do the same thing using a blender, but I figured if I did this, I could just do it right in the fermenter and not have to pull out my blender. So we're not looking to completely puree them, but just bust them up a little bit, giving the bacteria in the kombucha just a little bit easier access to everything here. There we go. I think that's pretty good. Now, oh, that smells delicious. Now it is time to add the frozen strawberries. So I'm doing this all by myself, filming and attempting to do this, so you'll have to forgive this crazy flopping around of the camera as I'm multitasking. Oh, there goes a raspberry. Not necessarily my forte, as you may have noticed. So anyway, maybe just a little bit more in this one fermenter. Now, because these raspberries are frozen, I'm just going to let them thaw a little bit and warm up, and then we will add the kombucha to it. So that's what we'll do next. Okay, so I've let this kind of warm up pretty close to room temperature, and I've got my kombucha primary fermenter here set up. If you want to check out my video on just how I like to make the initial kombucha, you can absolutely check that out. And so now I'm just going to run off from my primary fermenter until each of these containers is about half full. And yeah, and then I'm going to swirl this thing up here just to kick up a bunch of the bacteria and stuff that's kind of settled out. So this is this kombucha batch here had about 10 days with the SCOBY there fermenting. And it's definitely ready for some fun secondary here with the fruit. I like to do it in a primary vessel just because then I'm not introducing any flavors here that I don't necessarily want to get into a variety of kombuchas that I like to make. I do a lot with Saskatoons and a lot with ginger and peaches and stuff like that. So I like to mix it up. So I always just do my tea kombucha unflavored and then do flavoring in secondary. So as you can see, I just kicked this thing up. I picked it up and just gave it a really good swirl there, and that picked up a whole bunch of the bacteria that was on the bottom, all kinds of fun stuff there. Just to make sure that I've got a lot going on in the secondary fermenter, not just to help crunch away at some of those sugars, but then also to carbonate this once I bottle it. Okay, there we are. So I just ran those off into secondary. So these are going to get 2 to 3 days, just kind of depending on when I get to it next, of fermentation in here. And basically every morning and evening, I'm just going to pop this open, burp it, and then it's good. That way it's not going to build up too much carbonation in there and make it difficult for transferring into the bottles for the final carbonation phase. So yeah, see you in a couple of days. So I actually gave this 4 days here, and as you can see, the color has all leached out of the strawberries and everything like that. I'm very much excited to see what this actually tastes like. So I'm going to go ahead and bottle these. If you want to check out my video on that actual process in more detail, you can go ahead. But I'm just going to quickly do that and give them a few days to naturally carbonate in these swing top bottles. All right, so after this naturally carbonated, I chilled it down, and it is time for a taste test. It's a beautiful color, very nicely carbonated. Totally smells like the lychee fruit, just maybe a hint of the raspberry in there. Oh, that flavor combination is so beautiful. That raspberry tartness, and then that kind of odd, like peary, almost melony kind of flavor of the lychee fruit. That is beautiful. Highly recommend this. So yeah, if you can get your hands on a can of lychee fruit and you've got some frozen raspberries and you're making kombucha, give it a whirl. So if you like it, subscribe, and until next time, keep it at 11.